clichés retire, we set them free, shaking the ground with epiphany. Fresh thinking loud, it's our decree. Unconventional wisdom dancing on the beat.
Hello, welcome to Unconventional Wisdom about conventional wisdom. I'm so excited today. You are in for a really fun podcast. I have Brandon Woodward here. He is an attorney in Florida and he's grown a really big practice. And I think he's just going to have some really interesting things to talk to us about. So, Brandon, I want to hand it over to you so you can introduce yourself.
Sure. Thank you for having me, Kim. I'm Brandon Woodward. I am the managing partner of Woodward, Kelly, Fulton, and Kaplan. We are a decently sized regional law firm here in South Florida. We have two offices. My office is in a place called Stuart, Florida, which is the sailfish capital of the world. We are right on the ocean and we take our beach and ocean very seriously. Very sunny down here and it's always hot. It's subtropical and it's damp. My partners have offices in West Palm Beach, little better known town. They're close to the financial district down there. We are a business law firm generally. We have different aspects to the business. I handle essentially business law. Specifically, my forte is mergers and acquisitions. That's just a fancy way of saying buying and selling businesses, big or small. My partners handle things like disputes. We have a litigation group, two attorneys that handle that. That's when it's a business dispute, stockholders or collections or money is involved one way or the other. We also have a fairly big foreclosure. We work for banks. That's part of our practice. And we certainly have a bankruptcy side of our practice, both for creditors, that is, we represent banks with distressed assets, but we also help business owners through Chapter 11, which is a reorganization. Those are going to be your bigger companies. They're a long-term engagement, but it's something that we found our sort of niche. We've settled down into it. We stay in our lane, and each one of our attorneys is 20 plus years on that, and we're good at what we do, and we don't deviate from our sweet spot.
Okay, good. All right. Your random question. What question or questions would you ask a time traveler from 200 years into the future?
The obvious one is who's going to win the next five Super Bowls? That's an easy one. It came from the Back to the Future movies. Can I get a little action? My beloved Kansas City Chiefs, how many more Super Bowls will they win? Things like that. Certainly you want to, how does the stock market going to do? But in a bigger question is, what is our great nation going to look like? The country's 250 years old right now, and it's fairly young as republics go. Me and my firm are swervingly politically neutral, but the bottom line is Rome lasted for 800 years. Other organizations last for so long. I would certainly want to know, well, what do the United States of America look like in 200 years? But certainly the more fun answer is, where can I put $50 to make a long shot bet on the World Cup?
There you go. Love it. I think it is actually really interesting because we are in such a time of huge change, right? AI is really just in its infancy. And we really don't know. 200 years from now, the world may look very different than it looks right now, right? Like, will people still be playing football? Will the stock market as we know it in 200 years from now,
Will it even be a thing?
will we use currency like how we have it now?
If you want to look back 200 years to 1825, we didn't have vehicles. We weren't flying. We were pre-Civil War. There was a lot of farming going on, and there was a lot of outside activity. People basically were born and lived and died in one spot. Mobility was not a thing. Travel wasn't much. And all of the United States was barely 60 years old. And they were still figuring things out in 1825. Flash forward 200 years, I'm getting on a plane tomorrow. So, it's going to take me up to New York. And I'm like, I'll be there in 2.5 hours on a JetBlue, maybe three. But the bottom line is, I assume 200 years from now, I won't be here, you won't be here. But I think it's going to look very different.
Yeah, definitely. All right, listeners are just dying to know what is one piece of conventional wisdom when you were a young attorney that you really thought, whether it was modeled by somebody in your family or told to you by a mentor, like what did you think or believe about success? And then Now that you've grown a firm and you have more experience, like what do you currently believe about success?
Like a lot of professionals, when we come out of either a graduate school, like law school or medical school, MBA program, or even college, let's say you went to a very good college, your ego is enormous when you've accomplished something, and rightfully so. You're proud of your accomplishments. But as a young lawyer, I was incredibly arrogant and very naive. You think you have the answers, you think you're going to be the smartest kid on the block because you're used to be. Once you enter the bigger, wider world of things, there is so much you don't know. Some scientist had the knowledge curve, and the very young think they know it all, and then you drop into the valley of, oh my God, now I know that the world is much bigger. And then on the other side of the valley, you're coming out of being like, oh, I actually become an expert in this subject matter. And I don't care whether it's a hobby like model airplanes or practicing law. Your first day, like, how hard could it be? Because you don't know what you don't know. And that's every industry. I've had clients that think they're going to get into real estate. I want to go get my real estate license. And that's fine. But in Florida, you have to go to real estate school, 60 hours. And it's not easy. There are tests. You do need to know the equipment. It's just those people that have had some success at real estate or law, podcasting, we make it look easy. It looks like it comes across as effortless, or I'm confident and comfortable in the way I do things. But remember, I've had 25 years of screwing up and failing to get the level of confidence. I always tell the story of carpentry, particularly trim carpentry. If you've ever had to work with a baseboard or a crown molding at the top, it's nearly impossible, because if you try to do it, there will be a seam. The corner isn't going to go together the way you want it to. You're going to be trying to fill it with your thumb and some spackle. But if you ever watch a trim carpenter or a tile setter, they can do it instantly. They just, because they've worked with this material every day for 10 years, you know exactly where to make that cut, exactly how it's going to fit together. And you pay for that experience and you pay for that expertise. That's the part that is a perpetual struggle for the law industry, for the medical industry, for anybody that provides a service, because the DIYers can simply look it up online and, isn't it this? And the answer is no, it's not. I had a client tell me, well, I could have done that. And I go, yeah, you probably could have, but you probably would do it wrong, because I've done it this way, the way it works for 20 years. I have lots of doctor friends. They get this all the time. Giving a diagnosis and someone's on their phone fact checking in real time, and they just walk out of the room and shake their heads. A longer answer, I'm sorry, but certainly when you come out and you've got that sort of I know it all, and then when you start really learning how big your field or your world is, and you realize, oh, there's a lot to learn, and that then gives you that humility. And that is where the growth happens. And if you maintain that humility, even once you become either an expert or have some knowledge in your field, that's what gravitates people towards you. Nobody likes to know it all. It's better to just have the information, act like you have the information, but don't put it in their face. So I think that's the better answer.
Yeah, and I think you're right. Like you go to an attorney because they have the expertise, right? Like you want them to know the answer, but then you also have to trust the advice that they're giving you that you are actually paying for
That's true.
is something that you should actually follow. You should take that.
Sure. Out of the business realm, there are people that get divorced multiple times, but the bottom line is, if you've ever been through a divorce, you really want to only do that once. And you go there because you're in a lot of emotional pain, you've got a lot of problems, and you're using the legal process, which is a terrible solution for emotional problems. But you have to trust that the family law attorney, yes, this is how it works in this county. This is how it's going to go in front of this judge. I want and I should have. Yeah, I don't care about any of those things. This is how it's going to go. You're
Right.
paying, you can not listen to me, but the cost is the same. And if it comes across as hard-hearted or cold, it's just the facts. Divorce attorneys see a divorce every single day. The person sitting in front of them only gets one divorce. Same here. I deal with people that buy and sell businesses. I buy and sell businesses every single day. I got somebody sitting across from me. This is their one business, and they've got an offer, and
Right.
they want to tell me all about it and how it's going to go. And I'm like, okay, now here's how it's really going to go and how it works. So
Mhm.
yeah, trust your authority, trust your experts, pay for the right kind of expert. Don't do your own trim work and don't set your own tile. You're going to regret it.
Okay. And anybody ever give you any advice about how you should handle those early cases or how you should show up that you were like, no, that doesn't work for me?
Yeah, one piece of advice or one thing that was imparted to me one way, almost out of necessity, was take every case. Get it through the door. You're just trying to get your name out there. I ran myself ragged trying to please clients, and I lost money and just trying to get a referral for the next one, or those all important reviews. Now, lawyers don't really get reviews quite like everybody else does, but you could be a car detailer and you end up running yourself ragged, not charging or not making what you're truly worth to try to just get more. Bring your price below the other guy. It's a recipe for failure. The lesson that came later was don't do that. Specialize. Sit down in that niche. Riches and niches, as a friend of mine says, and be the expert and authority in one thing, two things on the outside. But if you're an everything bagel lawyer, if you're an everything bagel accountant, if you're an everything bagel consultant, yeah, jack of all trades, master of none. I see business coaches out there fail. And I go, who do you advise? And they said, anybody. That's not going to work. I ask a business coach, who do you advise? He goes, restaurateurs. Oh, what do you tell them? I was with the Perkins industry for 21 years. I laid out all the kitchens in every Perkins in the United States. That's somebody I would listen to. That's somebody who's worth $500 a session to hear from. But if you hang your shingle and you've got a snappy website and you're a life coach or a business coach, you got to have the authority to say, I'm in that niche. I just got done being president of the Bar Association for my county, Martin County, Florida. And I wrote one article as president as the best money you never made. And here's 5 red flags to avoid when the client's sitting in front of you. And people came up to me afterwards and they knew it implicitly, but kids got a tuition payment coming up. Christmas, a little short. This month, let's take a case. Let's give a discount. Let's get some work in just to keep the crews working. Terrible business plan. That will cost you so much by getting out of your comfort zone, by stepping out of what you do and do best. It's rough. And then as soon as you devalue it, I tell you one thing, I've never given a discount that I haven't later regretted. It just, there's the price. Family's different, but very close friends are like, I'm selling my business. Here's my price. Can you give me a break? No, because then it devalues what I do.
Right.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I so relate to what you're talking about in terms of taking all the business. When I was at the very beginning of my coaching business, and I was in a networking group, and everybody's, oh my God, this person really needs coaching. And I knew that it was not the right client for me. I took it anyway because A, I bowed to pressure, and B, I was just at the beginning and
Hey,
I
money.
wanted money.
Yeah.
As I like to say now, that is the gift that keeps on giving. It was such a hard lesson to learn, but I'll tell you, I only made that mistake one time because I learned what I needed to learn from that. And I have actually said no to prospective clients. It doesn't come up very often because of exactly what you said, because I am so clear about who a good client for me is that I tend to attract the people who are good clients for me.
That's
Uh,
excellent.
like one of the things for me is that, and I think really probably for every coach, but for me in particular, I am an action oriented person. Now, I have a lot of patience for people because the coaching process is not about me, it's about somebody else. So if it takes them a long time to take the action, as long as they're taking the steps, I'm cool. I'll tell you, you want to talk to me over and over again about the challenges and the problems and how things stink for you, I am wholeheartedly uninterested in that, right? I don't know, go find a friend, go find.
Find a bartender.
Yeah,
Tell them.
exactly. Brandon, I kid you not. It's always, let me tell you how the other person wronged me.
Oh,
Let me tell you why they stink. It's never about them. It's always about, let me tell you why my boss
oh.
is terrible.
Well,
Why,
it's
yeah,
because if you're the victim, things are happening to you and you're not accountable. You have no agency or ownership of the problem. And you're at the whim, the gods or the fates of, they haven't blessed you. You have to make your own luck in any industry. And there's another piece of advice that came to me later on, I wish I'd had earlier, was the cavalry's not coming. It's the last line of the movie Pursuit of Happiness. I can't remember the author. I've read the book a dozen times. It was the Will Smith movie. But
right?
if only I had the big client, if only my dad was in this business and he got all those contracts because his dad was a financial planner and he inherited all those contracts. Look at him. He's started on third base. That's great, but that doesn't fix what's ailing you. That blaming, okay. You think they're thinking about you? No. Which is not to say, yeah, play the hand you're dealt. A little bit of self-pity never hurts. And at the end of the month, and if I had a larger than I thought tax bill last year, and I grumbled about it, and the summer vacation to 3 countries became a summer vacation to 1 country. But the bottom line with all of it was like, let's not have that tax bill again. Let's do something with the accountant, CFO, and others. And I like what you said about the coachees, the mentees. I have those kind of clients as well. One of my colleagues says the best kind is the slow learners with a thick checkbook. I'm happy to bring you along as long as you're making some progress. But at some point, they're going to turn on you and say, why isn't this better? I've paid you X over time because you haven't owned the problem and you haven't done what I've asked you to do. And the goal is to get away from those clients before it gets sticky in your reputation or they do this to someone else.
Yeah, okay. So let me ask you this. So you've got this law firm and you've got people who work for you and so forth. So as a successful leader, what's one thing that people assume that you've got figured out, but behind the scenes you still wrestle with?
As it relates to people and processes at the firm or just more generally about my practice.
I think it's more about you as a leader.
Oh, time management is always the bane of my existence. And I want to devote a good amount of time, more than I should, to every client, to every prospective client. The city behind me is Kansas City, and all the merchandise, all this sports memorabilia is from Kansas City. I'm very Midwest. I will talk to you forever if you let me. And the bottom line is, I want to hear the story and I want to help and I really want to get there. But at some point, I have to break it off. And like, Brandon, you have 3 other intakes today, but this one's interesting. Or this one has a lot of money behind it. You could have all the money in the world behind it. If it's the wrong case for me or I don't like the client, they're not signing with our firm. But the bottom line, time management is key. And there are so many little things that I still want to do, but can't. Easy solution, it's told to me by my own business coach, is check your email twice a day. I still can't do it. But every time now I did shut off the alerts. There is no alert on my phone, and nor does it make a sound. But if you have a sound and it says there's new mail, remember you've got mail, and it distracts you and it pulls you from your task and go check the new thing because it's a shiny new penny. Ooh, new. Maybe it's something cool. And by the way, that's a dopamine hit. When there's new something and it's new good news, I get an alert. Somebody paid their bill last month. That actually comes to my desk. It's an alert, shows up on my desk. Yay, we got paid. Even bad news can be a dopamine hit. Oh gosh, they didn't like what we had to say, but we're going to have to go back and do it again. Even bad news gives you some sort of brain activity. You got to fight that. You got to fight the distraction. You've got to be able to stay on task, know when things begin, middle, and end, how to delegate that off to somebody else. Yeah, I absolutely struggle with time management, which is not to say I'm here late at night. That's certainly not going to happen. But you got to be efficient with that. Time is all you have.
Yeah. So you are definitely speaking my language here because that's productivity and time management are one of the things that I coach on. And so there's a couple things that I would say. So I love the everyone, listener, turn the alerts off. Okay. You
Oh,
heard it from Brandon. You're hearing it from me. Turn the darn alerts off. Okay. What's very interesting about the checking your email 2 times a day. So there's a couple things I would say about that. One thing is people are often afraid to do that because their clients' prospects are expecting responsivity. I get it. All you need to do is set the expectation up front.
Yes.
I often will advise people put an autoresponder
Mhm.
on your email that says, I check my email 2 times a day. If it's urgent,
Please call. Yeah.
call, right? And I'll get to it. Send me a text, call my assistant, whatever it is. Here's the other thing that I have started to do, which is a total game changer for me. And that is that I have my assistant managing my emails. She reads every single one of them and she sends me text messages when I need to respond to something. So I, for the most part, honestly, these days try to stay out of it. And I used to have this sort of idea around people who use their assistants in that way. Oh, they're snooty, or oh, am I not important enough that they can respond to me? But I will tell you, in terms of time management, I had my assistant yesterday send a message saying, Hey, Kim's driving right now, but
Mhm.
she wanted me to let you know
Yeah.
XYZ. Whatever it is, like it doesn't have to be sterile and it's like you're putting yourself up here. It's just
No.
efficient.
No, the email and inbox management, there's a lot been written about it, but certainly the turning off those alerts. I have two friends of mine that absolutely, and it's very small, sent on behalf of so and so. And I'm like, I know how that is. I also know that guy well enough I could text him if it was truly important. I would, but think about even the psychology of email. It's important to the person sending because it's in their mind right then and there, but it's a little rude for them to think that it's going to be important for you in that same moment. As soon as they hit send, it becomes my problem. I don't need to deal with this case for another month. When we do
Right.
mergers and acquisitions, my runway is 6 months long. Like,
Right.
that's great, but it took me away from what I was doing to say that, oh, I don't even need that information. I will need that information, but I don't need that for a couple of weeks. And then I go file or follow or something like that. But yeah,
Right.
email is the greatest and the worst all in the same
Yeah,
package.
absolutely. Although the one thing I would say, just like putting on my little coaching hat for a moment, is just that I do think that people, like, not in the moment, but in one of those two things is just to acknowledge, got it.
Yeah, got it.
Like it is important, I think, for relationship building to acknowledge,
Within a
right?
day. Not
Exactly.
same day. I used to be same day. That's a very Midwest thing. And get back to you. We do return phone calls, and at least that's a policy here at my firm. Because I know they're looking at other attorneys too. So phone calls, you're gonna at least you're gonna hear from somebody about that. But the acknowledgement email absolutely is a good one. Let me pivot a bit. A friend of mine uses his time management this way. They're called surge and flow weeks. And he's an estate and planning attorney, wills, trusts, and things like that. So for, I believe it's a full 2 weeks, he dresses in a suit and he comes into the office, and his staff has him 50-minute blocks from 10, maybe he doesn't have a 9 o'clock, but there's a 10 to 10:50, 11 to 11:50, break for lunch, 2, 3, and 4. So he's got 5 clients. They are all lined up and waiting in the waiting room, and he's got his paperwork already. It's the annual review of the estate plan or the annual review of the financial plan. He's building a little check-in. How you been? How are the kids? And this is either estate planning or financial planning or anything like that. But he definitely doesn't take action that day, that week. He puts it in a folder. It goes off to maybe somewhere, one of his staffers or something like that, to figure out what the action item is. I think that's his surge week where he meets with everybody. Then he'll have 2 whole weeks where he comes in basketball shorts, doesn't even shave, and absolutely will grind out the work at his pace. If it takes a little longer to do something, he's got the time to do it. You'll not get a call from him. You won't get a meeting with him. Someone on his staff, his next availability is next month on the 4th. Can I book you in there? Now, certain things are time sensitive. You certainly don't want that from your physician, but at the same time, that separation, they get what they want. But for the mental health, I order in, I look like crap, I do my work. And if I want to leave it too, I leave it too, because I got to go get my tooth worked on or something like that. Because there's plenty of
Yeah.
hours in the day to get all that work done. And he's been pretty successful at it.
That's awesome. All right. So, Brandon, if you could rewrite the rule book on leadership, what's one outdated belief you'd throw out and what would you replace it with?
We've touched on it, and that is the idea that the customer is always right, or in Germany, they call it the customer's king. The customer comes first. In Japan, the customer is a god. I've read all these things. Absolutely not true. Not even close. There's always more customers. What there's not more of is good employees. And it's your staff that really make it work. I think you or some of your people have dealt with my assistant, who's Victoria. All of our attorneys have a person that kind of assists them with lots and lots of things, communication wise, professionally, and things like that. I have one or two contracted associate attorneys that come in when I need them, and they will do some of the work and take it away. But yeah, a lot of times when me and my attorneys, my partners actually, will be working on a case together, and I've had one client complain to me about my partner. And I'm like, how do you think that's going to go? I've been partners with these folks for 10 years. I just met you. So, yes, customers are important. Don't irritate them unnecessarily. But if they are in any way sideways with your people, or they're slow with money or anything else, then no, they don't get to be the king. They are certainly not coming first. Staff comes first. And Henry Ford said, train them so well that they could work anywhere else, and treat them so well that they won't want to. And that's been a watchwords for at least all partners at my firm. We got folks who've been with us a very long time. Be careful. You don't want to adopt your employees. They're not family. You don't want to pay them outrageous amounts of money just because they've been around a long time. Be careful on that front. But the bigger issue is absolutely it's little things, pizza Fridays, t-shirt Wednesdays. If you're not in a client-facing position, there's no dress code. We don't even bother. Work from home. Here's a laptop. Here's a headset. If I don't need you in the office, don't be. So yes, treat your staff well. And I think that's why we have a problem. I hear people complain about churn. I can't get anybody to stay. I can't get anybody that wants to work anymore. They want to work. They just don't want to work for you. You've seen all those funny signs. We're closed because nobody wants to work the fry grill. No, there's somebody out there that will take any job, but they're not going to take it for minimum wage. They're not going to take it for anything less than they think they're worth. And that's the way the world works now, like it or not. It makes for good fodder on the social medias when I can't get anybody to work or something like that. In a service industry or like a janitor cleaning, a lower end, lower skilled position, it's good to complain about, gets a chuckle. Oh, yeah. But that's not the truth. The truth is you can train anybody. And if you're paying them, most of the time, they're going to rise to the expectation. Not always, but if you put the
Right.
confidence
Although
in
what
them.
you said, paying them well, but you have to treat them well, is what you said, right?
Absolutely. Nobody made you the boss. They made you the boss. And that doesn't give you any, you still put your pants on one leg at a time too. And by the way, if they stop working, you're going to feel it first, not them. So you can remember, even in when you're the boss, a lot of times you're the last one paid, not the first. So careful about that.
Exactly. So, what's one unconventional habit or mindset shift that's helped you grow your business, even though it might be against typical advice?
A mindset shift that's helped me grow. I think that I don't advertise. I don't use any sort of direct media because our practice is built and geared toward business and business owners. And Chapter 11 bankruptcy is only available to businesses, and you better be of some pretty good size to go through a Chapter 11. Mergers and acquisitions, you better have a business worth acquiring or doing the acquiring. So that doesn't lend itself to a radio ad at the top of the hour. It does not, you'll never see me on a billboard unless I've done something wrong. But the bottom line is personal injury, that's great. Everybody needs a personal injury at some point. I have had my own car crashed into 2 or 3 times. You got it. You need a personal injury attorney. Remember, I'm in Florida, but you don't need a business attorney. So where do I go to get my clients? Certainly blasting money and out on marketing isn't going to be it. So I network. A friend of mine says, fish where the fish are. Go to the accountants. Go to the financial planners, go to those estate and trust attorneys, because you're already getting a warm handoff. You're getting a warm referral anyway, not a cold call. We have a Facebook presence. We don't market there. You're not looking for a mergers and acquisitions attorney on Facebook. You're looking for a gardener on Facebook. You're looking for a pool cleaner on Facebook. But the bottom line is, yeah, as soon as I realized that I need to put myself in front of the financial industry calls them spheres of influence, or people that touch other people, make a good impression there and treat them well, Absolutely. Those are gifts that just keep giving. I've got a couple, and it works for attorneys too. Not many attorneys do what I do, but I've made it a point to almost every attorney I'll meet, I'll get a coffee, get a cocktail, have them come by my office. What do you do? How can I help you? If they're older or younger or more experienced or less, I'm like, let me help you with something. By the way, if you ever hear a client talking about being bought or buying, give me a call. I'm happy to just lend some advice on that one. 10 out of 10 are not comfortable talking about acquisitions. So it makes them look good. And this could be anybody, the accountant, the financial planner, the actuary, another attorney, you name it. Once I shifted to fish where the fish are, it's gone straight up.
Yeah, that's definitely good advice. I think the idea of also just what does it mean to help other people, right? I think when we think about getting business, oftentimes it's really a what can you do for me? And
Sure.
it's such a nice way to think about it. What can I do for you?
I agree. Anybody, tell everybody on my website, there's a white paper that I wrote. It's about 2 years old now. I got to update the copyright on it about here are the steps to sell your business, sell your family business. It's out there. It's free. It's on the very bottom of my website. And so let's say I've got an accountant that says, hey, Brandon, I got a client. He's thinking about selling his business. Here's my business card. The website's right on it. At the very bottom is a 5-page paper that has citations. And here's the 3 steps you should be taking right now. Free. It's yours. Take it. And everything that's in it is correct. You just found it on the internet. It's written by me, 26 years at it. And read it. It's there. It's got good information. I obviously don't give away the secret sauce. There isn't any. But the bottom line is here are the right questions to ask. And of course, does it pay me back? Of course it does. Oh, this guy knows what he's talking about. And he was nice enough to give me the roadmap, or at least give me the first steps. I should call him. I feel, go with that. And honest to God, it's just being a resource for others, being useful, being helpful, being generous with your time to a point absolutely pays off. And I got to tell you, it hurts. Every so often I'll get fooled and somebody will be very interested in selling me their serum or their blended up grass juice, or they want to reorganize my closets or something like that. And I'm like, I don't think that's a good fit for me or anything else. But 9 out of 10 times, if I don't bring in that person as a client, they at least have a warm fuzzy and I'll end up with them one way or the other.
Nice. All right. As we're wrapping up here, I want to ask you one last question because I think it's really helpful for the listener really to hear where are the places where you sometimes feel imposter syndrome or what situation triggers you? And then what do you do about it?
It's when you compare yourself to others and you don't know what made them more successful than you. Maybe they studied harder in school. I didn't study very hard in school. I'm the first guy to tell you, I'm a C student all the way through, including law school. C's get JD. I've got one. I got a couple of them around there, and my actual doctor said D's get MDs, and I got a new doctor immediately. Oh, she's fine. She's a dermatologist. But the bottom line is, sure, comparison is the thief of joy. You've heard that a million times. Run your own race. If you're successful in your own mind, if you're making enough money, or you have enough time to enjoy your life, what more are you looking for? You don't know that the other person is doing any better. They could be miserable. They might actually be. So it's really hard, but it does happen to every single one of us. I went through a larger firm, was looking at our firm, a big national firm, was like, oh, okay, we can get it. And I left meeting after meeting going, God, we're tiny, we're small, we don't fit their format. They feel like they don't like it. We don't jive with them, and then I started this conversation with, I'm meeting a friend tomorrow at 2:30 for a beverage, and we're going to end up some business out of it. We're going to work a job together. He's a business broker. Bottom line is, if I was working for the bigger firm, there's no way I'm getting out to have a cocktail at 2:30 in the afternoon. I'm staying till 6 o'clock at night, most nights, to grind or to bill or to do something different. So the grass is not always greener. It really isn't. Look, celebrate your joys, the little things. I bought myself a really nice luxury SUV on Father's Day 2 years ago. I had a little crappy SUV. I had a Honda Pilot for many years. And I didn't like driving it because it felt stupid and cheap and poor and had car seats in the back. Little, driving like this to my big merger and acquisition shop. Now I do have a gigantic SUV, and it's a luxury brand, and I love the hell out of it. I get in it every day and I smile. So yeah, treat yourself, enjoy your joys, find happiness and satisfaction any way you can. Because honestly, time's all you got, and it runs out a lot sooner than you think it does. Don't just, it's there. There's always somebody who's going to be faster, smarter, better, richer, better looking than you. But guess what? You're smarter, better looking, and richer, and more successful than a lot of people too. So quit comparing, celebrate what you got. Like I said, it's 2:48 here. This is the last appointment of my day. I'm going to do some paperwork, and then I'm going to bolt. So that's the only thing I can recommend. For me, it's a little bit less over time because I don't have as many contemporaries in my industry, in my field, and doing what I do. If you have awards and stuff like that, and the entry hall to my office is just lined and just thick with just gewgaws and shiny things, look at them, show people them. Yeah, it helps.
Yeah, love that. So celebrate the wins.
Absolutely.
I think even when I do some of the workshops that I do and I introduce SMART goals, which is, of course, nothing that I came up with, but I do smarter goals. So I have an E and an R at the end. And the E is evaluate and the R is reward.
Oh, yeah.
I think what happens is that, especially as we get more successful and we get more expert at what we do, we stop celebrating the wins.
Yeah, you tend to spend more. You want to keep up with the Joneses. You get a bigger office, you get enough more staff, shinier things. I did mention the SUV. But it's over there on my bookshelf is Profit First by, I think it's Michael Malkowski. Great read. One of the things he makes you do into that is you have a profit account and you peel off some percentage that you set of the top line, not the profit line. The top line gets peeled off for profit. That's your money. In my case, my firm is siloed how we make money. That is all my money. It doesn't go to staff. It doesn't go to the operating of this office. It goes nowhere but in mine and my wife's pocket. And the other thing he recommends in the book is do something stupid with it. Don't pay off a credit card. There's no fun in that. Take a trip to Niagara Falls. I don't care if you've seen it before. Go see it again. Whatever the amount of money is in there, don't put it in your 401k. That's stupid. I bought a toilet one time because I had a new house and I had the builder grade toilets. And this is the only thing anyone's going to remember about me from this whole podcast is Brandon and his story. But it's a good place to leave. Celebrate your wins. And like I said, spend money, and it makes you do it either frivolously, but I have the most expensive, nicest toilets in my house, and they cost $1,500 a piece, but I spent my profit money on it. And you can spend your profit money on whatever you want, but every time I'm on it, I'm like, this is a very expensive toilet, and I earned it. So if that helps you get through the day, but certainly reward yourself, especially if you're doing it frivolously, on something like that, a trip, a bauble, something like that, a gift for someone else. That's always nice. Have some permanence to it. If nothing else, go blow some money on a steak and a really good glass of wine. You'll be glad you did.
There you go. Love it. All right. We did it. So this is, again, Unconventional Wisdom about Conventional Wisdom. We're talking today with Brandon Woodward, Esquire. And I think he gave some great tidbits. I know that a number of people out there really wanted and needed to hear what you had to say today. And one thing as a listener, I just really want to remind you is that so often we don't say things that you've never heard before, but you've never been in the place that you are right now when you're hearing it. Really think about some of the things that Brandon had to say today and how you can really apply that to yourself, and you will be better off for it. So do all the things you know that you're supposed to do at the end of podcasts. Like it, share it, review it, all the stuff. We will see you next time, and go out there and be a better human.
Clichés retire, we set them free, shaking the ground with epiphany. Fresh thinking loud, it's our decree. Unconventional wisdom dancing on the beat.